Don't you ever wish you could go back with all the knowledge you have now?
Going back to the 80s, would you do it? Would you go back? And I mean to go back and stay there. To go back to take advantage of the culture. To enjoy what was going on in society at the time. Would you go back and not come back? Would you go back to be your younger self again? Now, usually the rule that people say is, yeah, I'd go back, but with the same knowledge that I have now, right? You don't want to be dumb again because you were a lot dumber back then than you are now, right? Without exception. You were dumb back then. There were opportunities that you didn't take advantage of. There were mistakes that you made. Would you go back to correct those mistakes, to take advantage of those opportunities? And I don't mean going back to get rich, all right? Because you would become filthy rich because you know the future now. You know what to invest in. But would you go back strictly for the times that you enjoyed back then, the people you knew back then, the prevalent culture that was happening back then? Would you do it, guys? Now, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm not talking about going back to get rich. If that was your goal, of course you'd go back because you'd know what to invest in. You'd invest in Microsoft and Apple and Walmart. You'd get filthy rich because you knew the future. I'm talking about going back to have fun, to experience life back then again, to see your friends, to go to those parties, to dance to that music, to listen to that music, to absorb the 80s culture all over again, to relive it all over again. I think when you get into middle age, past middle age, into your 50s, we all have that nostalgia.
No, our only chance to repair the present is in the past.
Okay, so you'd need a time machine. I guess you could order one online. Or maybe if you know a crazy scientist and you're his assistant, maybe he'd build one and he'd let you take it back. Or maybe your time machine would come from the future to pick you up in the form of a telephone booth. Maybe the time machine was invented in the Victorian age. Or maybe evil AI created the time machine and is coming back for you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Woo! I'm back in the 80s. Guys, maybe you weren't dorky, but back then I was. I doubt I'd want to go back and be like that again. Look at my hair. Look at my suit. I don't know why this girl went out with me. It was prom, and I think I was her last choice. She was desperate to go. My next prom, I at least learned how to rent a tux. I got some cool 80s shades, and I fixed my haircut a little bit. I got to the point where I thought I was cool with my fashion and my exalted status as a high school junior and senior. But of course, I'd go back with my same knowledge and maturity of today. But would it be as fun? Nothing would be novel. I'd know the future. There'd be no surprises. Would I even want to hang around with my teen buddies anymore? I doubt it. As a guy in his 50s, I certainly don't want to hang around with teens today. I wouldn't be so shy with all the girls I used to know. And I wouldn't be shy with lots of girls that I never even knew. But could I tolerate them with my maturity from the year 2026? Probably not, guys. Probably not. But yeah, there'd be lots of girls, lots of. Maybe not this one, guy. No, not this one, guys. I definitely wouldn't buy that Ford Maverick all over again. What a junker. But I guess it was part of the learning process to have a bad car. I'd go in the Army again, although it was a big shock to me. And with that crew cut and those big dark glasses, I looked like a bug. The Army wasn't an opportunity that I missed. They weren't perfect, and I didn't understand it at the time, but they did help me a lot. Would I go back to be a yuppie? I don't know. I kind of liked the fashion and culture and pursuit of wealth, but I think sometimes that was taken too far, as money doesn't necessarily equal a good life. To me, one of the best things about having money is being able to help out others. In politics, you'd know exactly what was going to happen. As far as movies, you've seen them all. And to play them at home, you'd have a tedious way of doing it. In fact, a lot of the technology guys would just suck. You just wouldn't be happy with that technology anymore. You know, things are just a lot faster. And honestly, a lot of things are just better. A lot of stuff back then, it's quaint, and you enjoyed it back then. But now, I think you want something better. I think you want something more. As far as snacks, there's some I really liked. And there was some that I could have done without. That's for sure. There were interesting and nice places back then, but there are interesting and nice places now. As far as fashion goes, some of it was terrible. Some of it was okay. Some of it was crazy. And some of it was great. Some of it I really liked. Things have sure changed since then. Guys, if you go back to the 80s, you're going to have to leave your loved ones behind. Are you willing to do that? All the people that you know now, the people that you love now, are you willing to leave them behind? Your kids, your partner, your friends. Most dads I know, most parents I know will die for their kids. You wouldn't leave them. I doubt you would. Most of you wouldn't. But why do we have this nostalgia for the 80s? There are actual scientific reasons why we feel this way. Your brain is actually messing with you. That's one reason you feel this way. It's the connections in your brain that you formed back then. It's the chemicals in your brain, right? That was a very important part of your life. It's the time you came of age. Your brain was still developing. That's one reason why we have this nostalgia for that time. So why this nostalgia for the 80s? What's so special about the 80s? Well, let's see what the internet says, all right? Iconic pop culture. The launch of MTV, Blockbuster, big movies like Ghostbusters, the technology, the neon, the arcade games, the analog gadgets, cultural firsts, Rubik's Cube, Transformers, mall culture, simpler times. The 80s, in a lot of ways, was simpler. It definitely wasn't as complicated as things are today. Okay, so we prefer experiences from our teens because our brains were having rapid development and heightened hormonal activity between the ages of 12 and 22, making emotional experiences more intense. It's called the reminiscence bump. Reminiscence bump. I never knew that. neural nostalgia. That music that you heard back then, it activates your brain's pleasure circuits. It releases dopamine. That's true with me. I love 80s music. I absolutely love it. I think music today is basically trash. And this was formed especially when we were teenagers. That music defined ourselves back then. You had intense emotional ups and downs when you were a teenager. Hearing these songs brings all that flooding back. That time was our coming of age, a critical time between childhood and adulthood. Common milestones: drinking, voting, driving a car, graduating high school, puberty, getting a job, earning money, being able to go places without your parents, being with your friends, people that were in exactly the same situation as you. All of this had an effect on our brains. That's why you and I feel like going back. One appeal of the 80s is that it seemed like a more innocent time. Certain things hadn't happened yet, although other things did happen, and they scared us to death. As far as now, are we looking at a dystopian future? We just don't know. And I think that makes a lot of us nervous. The late, great Jack LaLanne, fitness guru and one of the first people to do exercises on TV. This guy got into his 70s and 80s, and he would make fun of people who yearned for the good old days. He would say the good old days are right now. I think Jack was right.
This could be the greatest night of our lives, but you're gonna let it be the worst.
I think we should celebrate the 80s, like the Spasmatics do, an 80s tribute band. Look, I came of age during the 80s. I loved the 80s. But the only ones who stayed back there are the ones that didn't make it out. You and I did. Get living, guys. Your time is now.